every single one of you. Wow. I love you guys so much. Katie's going to have to stand up here with me because...
For decades, the name Christina Applegate has been associated with talent, resilience, and a career that evolved far beyond what anyone expected when she first appeared as a sharp-tongued and unforgettable Kelly Bundy on the hit sitcom Married with Children. Audiences watched her grow from a young television star into a respected actress known for her comedic timing, emotional depth, and ability to reinvent herself across multiple generations of television and film. But behind the laughter, behind the bright lights of Hollywood premieres and red carpet appearances, a far more complicated story has slowly unfolded, one that many fans only began to understand years later. What began as whispers...
I had to tell everybody, because I needed help. I needed someone to help me stand, and I needed someone to help. I needed someone to help me to get there.
Yet Christina Applegate refused to remain trapped in a single role. Over the years, she worked tirelessly to expand her range, taking on dramatic performances, starring in films, and returning to television in projects that showcase a deeper emotional complexity. One of the most notable chapters in this evolution came with the critically acclaimed series Dead to Me, where Applegate portrayed a grieving widow navigating friendship, trauma, and secrets. The role was praised for its raw honesty and emotional power, proving once again that she was capable of far more than the comedic persona that first made her famous. But even as critics applauded her performance, another story was quietly developing behind the scenes, one that would eventually reshape how audiences viewed her strength and determination. When news broke that Applegate had been diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, the reaction from fans and fellow actors was immediate and emotional. Multiple sclerosis is a complex neurological condition that affects the central nervous system, often leading to fatigue, mobility issues, and a wide range of unpredictable symptoms. For someone working in the physically demanding world of television production, the diagnosis represented a profound challenge. Suddenly, the story was no longer just about an actress delivering powerful performances. It became about a person confronting a life-changing illness while still fulfilling professional commitments in front of millions of viewers. The filming of the later seasons of Dead to Me became particularly significant in this context. Applegate openly discussed the difficulty of continuing to perform while managing symptoms of MS, including extreme fatigue and mobility struggles. Scenes that once required ordinary physical effort suddenly demanded extraordinary determination. Crew members reportedly adjusted filming schedules, created accommodations, and supported the actress as she pushed herself to finish the story she had started. What viewers saw on screen was still the same emotionally laid performance, but behind every moment was a reality far more demanding than most people realized. For fans, this revelation added a new emotional dimension to the show. Knowing what Applegate was enduring while filming made many scenes feel even more powerful and poignant. It also sparked conversations about the pressures actors face when personal health challenges collide with professional obligations. Hollywood has long celebrated resilience, but Applegate's situation reminded people that resilience often comes with a cost, physical, emotional, and deeply personal. Beyond the medical challenges, the broader narrative surrounding her career has sometimes been framed in sensational ways by media outlets eager for dramatic headlines. The word scandal has occasionally appeared in discussions about her situation, though many supporters argue that the real story is not scandalous at all. It is simply the story of a human being navigating adversity under the intense scrutiny of public attention. In an industry where privacy is rare and vulnerability can quickly become a headline, the distinction between personal struggle and public spectacle often becomes blurred. Throughout these challenges, Applegate has remained strikingly candid about her experiences. In interviews and public appearances, she has spoken openly about the emotional toll of a diagnosis, the uncertainty of living with a chronic illness, and the gratitude she feels for the support she has received from colleagues, friends, and fans. This honesty has resonated deeply with many people who face similar health challenges in their own lives. Instead of hiding her struggles, she has chosen to share them, turning what could have been a purely private battle into an opportunity to raise awareness and empathy at the same time. Her story has sparked broader discussions about the realities of life in the entertainment industry. Actors are often perceived as larger-than-life figures, insulated from ordinary struggles by fame and success. But Applegate's journey has reminded audiences that celebrities are still human beings who experience the same vulnerabilities as anyone else. Illness, fear, and uncertainty do not disappear simply because someone appears on television screens around the world. In fact, those challenges can become even more complicated when lived in the public eye for longtime fans who have followed her career since the early days of Married. With children, this chapter of her life feels particularly emotional. They remember the energetic young actress who brought humor and charm to one of television's most outrageous sitcoms. They watched as she matured into a performer capable of balancing comedy with dramatic depth. And now they see a woman confronting one of the most difficult chapters of her life with courage and honesty. Each new revelation about the realities she faces adds another layer of sadness to the narrative, but also another layer of admiration. The phrase, "it just gets sadder and sadder," reflect the emotional reaction many viewers have when they learn more about the obstacles she has endured. Yet the same story can also be seen as one of resilience and strength. Continuing to perform while dealing with a serious illness requires determination that goes far beyond ordinary expectations. It transforms what might appear to be a tragic narrative into something more complex, a story about perseverance in the face of adversity. As time moves forward, the legacy of Christina Applegate's career may ultimately be defined not only by the characters she portrayed, but by the example she has set through her openness and resilience. Her performances will continue to entertain audiences, but her willingness to speak honestly about illness and vulnerability may have an even deeper impact. In a world where public figures often feel pressure to appear flawless, her story reminds people that authenticity can be far more powerful than perfection. And so the narrative surrounding Christina Applegate continues to evolve. What once seemed like a simple celebrity headline has become a deeply human story about courage, loss, humor, and perseverance. Each new detail reveals both the sadness of the challenges she faces and the remarkable strength she brings confronting them. For fans who grew up watching her on screen, the journey is both heartbreaking and inspiring, a reminder that behind every famous name is a life filled with struggles, triumphs, and moments of extraordinary bravery that the world may only begin to understand years later. As the conversation around Christina Applegate continued to unfold, many longtime fans began looking back across the entire arc of a career with a new perspective. What once seemed like a straightforward Hollywood success story now appeared layered with unseen struggles, moments of quiet determination, and decisions that carried far more weight than audiences could have imagined at the time. For decades, viewers had watched her performances and admired her ability to move effortlessly between comedy and drama, yet few realized how often she was navigating personal challenges while still delivering the work that audiences loved. The more people learned about the obstacles she faced in recent years, the more the story took on a bittersweet tone, transforming public admiration into something deeper, respect for the resilience required to continue moving forward despite overwhelming circumstances. Long before the headlines about health and personal hardship emerged, Applegate had already experienced the pressures that come with growing up in the spotlight. Becoming widely known through the groundbreaking sitcom Married, with children brought instant recognition and enormous expectations. For a young performer, that kind of attention can shape both professional and personal identity. The character of Kelly Bundy became one of television's most recognizable comedic roles, but with that success came the challenge of proving that she was capable of far more than the stereotype many viewers associated with the show. In interviews years later, Applegate often spoke about her determination to expand beyond that image, to show audiences that she could handle complex roles and emotionally layered performances. That determination eventually led to a series of projects that showcase her range, from comedic films to dramatic television roles that allowed her to explore deeper themes. One of the most significant milestones in that journey came when she starred in the darkly comedic drama Dead to Me. The show quickly gained a loyal following for its blend of humor, grief, and unexpected twists, with Applegate's character carrying much of the emotional weight of the narrative. Critics praise her ability to portray vulnerability and strength simultaneously, creating a performance that resonated with viewers navigating their own experiences of loss and friendship. At the time, few people watching the series understood how closely those themes would soon mirror real challenges in the actress's own life. When Applegate publicly revealed her diagnosis with multiple sclerosis, the news spread rapidly through both the entertainment industry and the wider public. Multiple sclerosis is a condition that can affect movement, balance, vision, and energy levels, often in unpredictable ways. For someone whose profession depends on physical performance, long hours on set, and the ability to maintain emotional focus under demanding circumstances, the diagnosis represented a life-altering moment. Yet rather than retreat entirely from public life, Applegate chose to continue working while adapting to the realities of her condition. The final production stages of Dead to Me became a powerful example of that determination. Reports from the set suggested that filming required significant adjustments to accommodate the physical limitations she was experiencing. Scenes were carefully planned, schedules were modified, and the crew worked together to ensure that production could continue without compromising her health. What viewers ultimately saw on screen was a seamless continuation of the story, but behind the scenes the effort required to complete the series was extraordinary. For many fans, learning about those circumstances transformed their understanding of the show. Moments that once appeared simply dramatic now carried an additional layer of meaning, reflecting the perseverance of an actress determined to finish the work she had begun. AS interviews and public appearances revealed more about her experience living with MS. Applegate's story began resonating with people far beyond the entertainment industry. Individuals living with chronic illnesses recognized elements of their own journeys and the challenges she described. Fatigue that could appear without warning, the emotional strain of adjusting to new physical realities, and the uncertainty that comes with a condition that changes over time. By speaking openly about these experiences, she inadvertently became a source of encouragement for many who felt invisible in their own struggles. Her willingness to discuss both the difficult and hopeful aspect of living with MS created a conversation that extended far beyond celebrity news. At the same time, fans began reflecting on the broader meaning of her career. For many viewers, Christina Applegate had been part of their lives for decades, appearing on television screens during childhood, adolescence, and adulthood. Her performances had accompanied moments of laughter, nostalgia, and emotional connection. Now, seeing her confront serious health challenges with honesty and courage made those memories feel even more significant. It reminded people that the individuals who entertain them are not distant figures immune to hardship, but human beings whose lives unfold with the same unpredictability as anyone else's. The narrative that some media outlets describe as a scandal gradually evolved into something far more profound. Instead of focusing on sensational headlines, many fans began emphasizing the emotional truth of the situation. The sadness of seeing a beloved performer face serious health obstacles, combined with admiration for the strength she displayed while continuing to share her work with the world. This shift in perspective reflected a growing recognition that the real story was not about controversy but about resilience and empathy. Within Hollywood, colleagues and fellow actors also expressed deep respect for Applegate's determination. Many spoke about the professionalism she maintained during filming, even when dealing with physical discomfort or exhaustion. Stories from the set describe a performer who remained committed to delivering authentic performances while quietly managing the challenges that came with a diagnosis. These accounts reinforce the idea that the strength audiences saw on screen was not simply part of a character. It was a reflection of the person portraying it. As time continues to pass, Christina Applegate's journey has become part of a larger conversation about how society views illness, vulnerability, and perseverance. Her openness has helped normalize discussions about chronic conditions that are often misunderstood or overlooked. For individuals living with similar challenges, seeing someone in the public eye speak honestly about those experiences can be both validating and empowering. It transforms what might otherwise be a lonely struggle into something shared and acknowledged. For fans looking back at her career, the emotional weight of her story continues to grow. The laughter she brought to audiences through sitcoms, the emotional depth she displayed in dramatic roles, and the courage she has shown in confronting personal adversity all combine to create a legacy that extends far beyond entertainment. Each chapter of her life adds another dimension to that legacy, reminding viewers that the most powerful stories are often the ones that reveal the human spirit in moments of challenge. In the end, the story surrounding Christina Applegate is not simply one of sadness. It is also a story of endurance, honesty, and the quiet strength required to keep moving forward when life becomes unexpectedly difficult. The challenges she faces may bring a sense of sorrow to those who admire her work, but they also highlight the remarkable courage that has defined her journey. And as audiences continue to watch her past performances and listen to her reflections on life with MS, they are reminded that behind every role is a real person whose resilience can inspire far beyond the boundaries of television and film. As the public continued to follow the journey of Christina Applegate, the conversation gradually shifted from shock to reflection. Fans who had grown up watching her on television began revisiting her career with a deeper sense of appreciation, recognizing how many milestones she had achieved long before the world learned about the personal challenges she would later face. Her story, once framed simply as another celebrity headline, began to feel more like a long, emotional timeline of perseverance, one that stretched from the early days of sitcom fame to the far more complicated realities of life in the spotlight decades later. The more people learned about the behind-the-scenes moments of her career, the clearer it became that her path had never been as effortless as it might have appeared from the outside. For many viewers, their earliest memory of Applegate still traces back to the chaotic humor of Married with Children, where she played Kelly Bundy, a character who quickly became part of pop culture history. The show itself was controversial in its time, pushing boundaries with its irreverent tone and satirical take on the American family. Yet within that outrageous world, Applegate managed to create a character who was both comedic and strangely endearing, delivering performances that balanced exaggerated humor with a natural charm that audiences couldn't ignore. What few people realized at the time was how challenging it could be for a young actor to carry such a recognizable role while still trying to build a long-term career beyond it. Many performers who achieve early fame struggle to escape the shadow of their breakout characters, but Applegate spent years proving that she could do far more than repeat the same persona. That determination gradually led her into new creative territory, from dramatic roles to films and later television projects that allowed her to show a more nuanced range of emotions. Each new role represented a step away from the stereotype that had once defined her career. Yet the entertainment industry is rarely forgiving, and the pressure to maintain relevance in Hollywood can be relentless. Actors often face constant scrutiny over their choices, their appearances, and even their personal lives. For Applegate, navigating those pressures meant balancing professional ambition with the realities of growing older in an industry that frequently prioritizes youth and reinvention. When she later stepped into the leading role of the dark comedy series Dead to Me, many critics described the performance as one of the most powerful of her career. The series blended humor with grief and emotional complexity, giving Applegate an opportunity to portray a character dealing with loss, anger, and fragile hope all at once. Viewers responded strongly to the authenticity of the performance, often commenting on how relatable the character's struggles felt. Ironically, while audiences were captivated by the fictional grief unfolding on screen, the actress herself was beginning to confront challenges that would soon change the course of her own life. The announcement that she had been diagnosed with multiple sclerosis marked a turning point not only in her personal journey, but also in how the public viewed her career. Multiple sclerosis is a disease that affects the central nervous system, often causing fatigue, numbness, and difficulties with balance or mobility. The unpredictability of its symptoms can make daily life challenging, especially for someone working in a profession that demands long hours, physical stamina, and emotional concentration. For many fans, the news was deeply upsetting, as it meant that the actress they had admired for so long was now facing a condition that could alter her future in profound ways. Yet even in the face of such uncertainty, Applegate demonstrated remarkable determination. Continuing to work on Dead to Me during the later stages of production required not only physical endurance but emotional resilience as well. Crew members reportedly adapted the filming process to accommodate her health needs, allowing her to complete scenes at a pace that respected the limits of her condition. The result was a final performance that carried a quiet intensity, one that audiences later realized had been delivered under extraordinarily difficult circumstances. For viewers who learned about these challenges afterward, watching the final episodes became an even more emotional experience. The reaction from fans around the world reflected both sadness and admiration. Social media filled with messages expressing support, gratitude, and respect